All right, so we just went through the media sections of getting referrals. And honestly, if there's one thing that I can really impress upon you, getting the referral section right will explode your business independent of everything else that we talk about. All right, that being said, learning how to build a team to get people to do these things on your behalf and do the core four for you is the next biggest thing. So let's dive into that. So I'm gonna break this down with a quick story, how employees work, why employees make you wealthy, everything I knew was wrong, how to get employee leads, how to get employees to get you leads, and then how to calculate returns. Cool? So this is gonna be a deep one, but I think we're gonna move through it pretty quick, all right? So quick story. So all of us were gathered around at one of our quarterly events, this is, again, years ago, and we had set this sales goal, 2 quarters in a row we'd missed it, right? So it's an outbound sales goal, and so this is now the 3rd quarter that we're about to set it again. And they're like, oh, I think we'll hit it, so we don't need to change the goal. And then everyone looked around, and then my EA clicked the next button and moved on. And I was like, wait, we've done the same goal 2 quarters in a row, now the 3rd quarter. What's the problem? And so my director of sales piped up, and he's like, well, we need to make more calls. And I was like, okay, duh, so what's stopping us from that? He's like, well, we need more callers. I was like, all right, well then why can't we get more callers? And he said, well, every time we get a new one on, it takes about as long to get one on as it does for us to churn one out. I was like, huh. So I asked my director of HR, I said, well, do we have like really high churn on the position? She was like, oh, actually, compared to industry average, we're way below. I was like, okay, so you don't have a churn issue, then why aren't we getting as many callers onboarded and trained so we can increase our call volume? And I was like, walk me through the process that you're going through. She's like, well, it takes me 40 screening calls to find 10 people. From those 10 people, I pass 4 over to them, and they pick 1. I was like, so it's taking you 40 calls, 40 individual interviews for us to ultimately get 1 low-skilled sales rep that we're going to ultimately train. It's like, well, that model's broken. So let's do group interviews from here on out, pass the people who seem like they have social skills and work ethic, and then we'll train the rest. And within 6 weeks, we had crushed the goal that we had set for 2 quarters prior and missed. And so it was simply understanding that there is acquisition on both sides of the business, both for getting leads to getting customers and also getting employee leads into your business. So as you scale one side, you also have to scale the other side of the business. It's a mirror. Like if you have tons of leads, you're gonna need tons of sales guys. Well, what are you gonna do? Well, you have to get sales guy leads. And that's what we're gonna talk about, all right? So how do employees work? Lead getting employees are people working in your business that you train to get you leads, all right? They get you leads the exact same way that you got your own leads in the beginning. They can run ads, they can make and post content, and they can do outreach, cold or warm. And they can do any advertising you train them to do. So more lead getting employees means more engaged leads for your business. It also means less work you have to do to get leads. Win, okay? Bottom line, employees make a fully functioning enterprise that grows without you. All right, if you have a team of lead getting employees, then they're getting leads on your behalf, which means your enterprise as a whole is significantly more valuable than it was without you, right? Because it can be sold without you entirely, which means someone else can buy it. So number 3, why employees make you wealthy. So if you look at these two kind of like before and afters, right? And you have the exact same business metrics. So this is really important. This is the type of stuff that I look at when we're looking at businesses that we're investing in. So on one hand, you see the 80 hours a week, no one can do it like me, employer and or business owner. And they might be doing $2 million in income from the business, and the net worth that they have is the cash in their bank account. Why? Because they've organized their life to become a high-paying job. On the flip side, the wealthier version of that is that guy works maybe 10 hours a week or maybe 20 hours a week. And he says, other people can do it better than me. That guy also makes $2 million in income from his business. But his net worth is the cash that he has in his bank account plus probably $10 million plus in equity in terms of the value of the business itself, because the business doesn't require him because other people do it. And so that guy is significantly wealthier than the guy before. And that's what we're ultimately trying to build. And so like, if there's a video that I can show you that will make you significantly more money if you do it, this is it. So scenario 1, 5 million top line, 2 million profit. Scenario 2, 5 million top line, 2 million profit. Other guy's richer, okay? Low value business, $10 million plus business, okay? We like that. So that's why employees make you wealthy. Now, here's why everything that I thought I knew was wrong. So have you ever heard, if you want it done right, do it yourself. No one can do it like I do it. Nobody can replace me. I'm irreplaceable, right? Those are incorrect beliefs about how to do business. Because fundamentally, look at Apple. Look at all the biggest companies in the world. Look at GE. They've existed 100 years. Look at Ford. Like, people have figured out how to do it. And if you want to know why you are probably replaceable, is that 100% of humans are replaced every 100 years. And you know what? It continues, and we continue on as a species because we learn from others. So replace it with these thoughts, and these thoughts have served me well, which is, if you want it done right, get someone to spend all their time doing it. If I can do it, someone else can do it better than me. Everyone is replaceable, especially me. These are beliefs that serve you and ultimately make you significantly wealthier. So now let's break down how to get leads. So hopefully I've sold you a little bit on getting employees and why they make you wealthy and why it's worth the time. All right. So this is one of the most fun parts that I got to make. So this is a fun conceptual idea. So we talked about these 8, the external. All right, so we have the core 4, which is anything that one person can do, and then they get lead getters who then do the core 4 on their behalf, and that spins around, right? Now, there's also a mirror image of that internal to the business. And so if you translate the core 4 to what people talk about in terms of getting employees, it actually maps to the same core 4 externally. We just use different language. So warm outreach on the core 4 externally is asking your network on the core 4 internally for help as an employee, et cetera. Cold outreach is cold outreach in employees. It's actually the same term. When you're headhunting and whatnot, that's what you're doing. If you post free content, you post to your network. So that's making posts from your business page, posts from your personal page. Those are the things that you do to get more employees into your world. If you run paid ads to get customers, you're promoting job postings to get employees. It's the same thing. You know why it's the same thing? Because there's only 4 ways that humans can talk to other humans and letting them know about stuff. We're just using different nomenclature to describe the same activities. And so if you know how to get customers, then you should be able to use the same methods to get talent into your business so that you can scale. All right? Now, let's look at the lead getters, because this gets even better. So customer referrals are the same thing as employee referrals. Affiliates are people who own communities of specific types of people who have skills. So if you own a community of editors, then that is an affiliate. If you own a community of sales guys, then if you paid that person, they would be an affiliate of yours. All right? Employees for the lead getters are the same as in-house recruiters. So employees that work for you, they go get employees on your behalf. And then finally, you have agencies, which are staffing firms and paid headhunters that exist outside of your business. The same exact things, just said differently. And the reason this was such a big aha for me was that I used to always think, I was like, oh man, I'm so good at getting customers. I wish I could get talent. It's the same skill set. It's advertising. You're just advertising a different thing. You're advertising a job opportunity rather than whatever the thing it is that you sell. But fundamentally, they're the same. To me, this is cool. So that's how you can translate them. Warm outreach is the same as asking your network. Cold outreach, recruiting, posting content, posting job opening, paid ads, promoted job postings, et cetera, et cetera. All right? And so that is how you ultimately get employee leads. You do the same stuff you do to get customer leads. So how to get the employees to get you leads? They're like, okay, I got it. So I understand how employees work. I understand why they make them wealthy. I understand that they really will do this better than me because they're going to spend all of their time on it rather than 10% of my time on it. Because even if you are better than them, spending 100% of your time, you're not going to, because you got other shit you're going to do if you own the business. So it makes sense that even if somebody's half as good as you, if they spend 100% of their time, they still probably do a better job. And if you still don't think they're better than you, I'll bet you 20 of them are. Right? So just thinking through this. Now, you might be like, well, what about the super ultra coder extraordinaire or whatever? Sure. But go be right over there. All right? And for now, everybody else here, you can keep watching if you want to get rich. So, how to get employees to get you leads. Shall we? 3 steps. Step 1, document. You make a checklist. So you do the thing that you want to train them to do, and you make a checklist of what you were doing. A really smart way of doing it is actually videoing yourself doing it so that you don't have to think about how you're checklisting it while you're doing it, but actually observing what you do and then making the checklist secondhand. Just side note, little pro tip there. Step 2 is that you demonstrate. You do it in front of them. Step 3 is that they do it in front of you. So it's document, demonstrate, duplicate. And one of the key things that I have found with this is that give short windows for people to prove themselves. Most entry-level advertising jobs are not complex. They just simply require traits. They require skills, right? Which are more meta skills. Like they require grit, right? And that meta skill of grit and being willing to continue to do something despite failure sometimes takes longer to train than the skill itself. And so I look for someone who has the meta skill of having endurance, having grit, and then I know I can teach them the other skills. But if someone shows that they don't have that, I generally don't want to take the time to try and teach that. Now, maybe 10 years from now, I'll learn how to teach that and I'll say it's awesome. Right now, I haven't gotten there yet. All right, so if you have trained someone properly and they are still below expectations 3 weeks in, then cut them. All right, it's one of the things that also keeps the culture of the team really high, and it shows them that you respect the culture of the team so that no one feels like they're freeloading. And so the big three that we're looking at when you're doing this is that you're bringing the people in because we just said you're gonna do the same core 4 or have other people do them on your behalf, and then you make the checklist, you demonstrate it in front of the new employee, and then they demonstrate it in front of you, and you give them feedback. And that cycle is what you do until eventually they can give themselves feedback. And once they can give themselves feedback, they have mastered the skill. So, employees are expensive. And so what's kind of interesting is that I'll see business owners obsess about a $200 a month bill, but hire 3 employees on for $80,000 a year each without even blinking an eye. It's interesting. It's $250,000 a year bill that $240,000 a year bill that they're committed to, no matter what happens. But they don't think about it in terms of return on investment. And so my advice is to think about everything in terms of allocation of resources. Where do I get the highest returns? And fundamentally, that's what makes an efficient capitalistic society. All right. So how do we calculate returns? So you look at total payroll divided by total number of engaged leads, and that will give you the cost per engaged lead. So for example, if my payroll for my outbound team or my setting team created 1,000 leads, then my cost per engaged lead or replies back would be $100 per engaged lead. So even though I didn't pay media, I didn't pay Facebook or YouTube for that, I still paid for that lead. I paid for it in payroll. All right. Now, if 1 out of 10 of those engaged leads become a customer, then our CAC, our cost to acquire customer, is $1,000, right? Because it's $100 per engaged lead times 10 engaged leads per customer equals $1,000 in CAC. So if each customer has an LTGP of 40,000, then you have an LTGP to CAC of 4-to-1. And so in a real way, you can calculate what your return on a lead getting employee is if you simply look at the payroll against how much business you expect that person to bring in. And you compare them against the benchmark of the team, and ideally, they should raise the benchmark. And over time, that benchmark should raise because everyone should be getting better. That is how you calculate returns. If you cannot calculate that return, then it becomes significantly more difficult to justify the cost of bringing more people on. And so I would say everybody who's on that team should know this calculation because they should know that how they are being measured so that they can win. I find that fundamentally just being transparent of this is how you win. Most people want to win. And if you just show them the scoreboard, they'll do as much as they can to make sure it happens. And so I'll give you some fun examples on this. So it cost me roughly $3.33 per engaged lead. So right now, I think our team, this is a little outdated, but I think our team's probably $150,000 a month just on the media side. And we get about 30,000 leads per month through the site. And so I can calculate that even though I run no paid ads to what my cost per engaged lead is. So I just use this as an example that you just take the payroll, divide it by how many leads you get, and if you want, you can divide by how many qualified leads you get. You can do it against anything you want. But in this way, you can see how much it really costs you to get customers, what your real return is on outbound or content or paid ads, which the caveat on paid ads is you have to add that payroll cost plus the cost of the media to get your true cost per lead. All right? And so this is a rule of thumb that I will give you. If your cost to acquire a customer is more than 3 times the industry average, then you likely have a sales or an advertising problem. We diagnose this with a single question. Do my engaged leads have the problem I solve and the money to spend? If no, then they're not qualified. That's an advertising problem. If yes, then they're qualified and they're buying, but you don't have enough of them, which means it's an advertising problem. Or they're qualified but not buying, which means it's a sales problem. And so this is how you can diagnose what the issue is within the business and where you should focus your attention. Now, that 3x that's sitting there at the top, the reason I have 3x there as a number is that if you are within the range of 3x of the industry average, then you might not have a problem at all. If you are above it, then you use that diagnostic tool that I just went through to diagnose where the issue might be. And if it is 3 times more than the industry average, I use that. You can Google industry average cost to acquire a Men's Health customer, a software subscriber, just be a B2B, small business sale, whatever it is, you type in the category and you'll get an idea. If you are within that band, then you have a business model issue. And so I like to be really clear on this so that you're not blaming employees for an issue that you might have within your business that you created on your own problems. And so this is a diagnostic tool that I look at all the businesses that we acquire, invest in. So perspective shift on employees. A word on fancy employees. I explicitly left out recruiting director level and up employees because you can easily qualify for acquisition.com without it, okay? So once you become a portfolio company, we will do all this stuff for you. But this is the kind of the perspective shift, is that you can either buy talent or you can build talent, just like you can buy companies or you can build companies. And if you buy the talent, it typically costs more because they already have the skill, which means the speed to money is faster. As the company scales, you tend to buy more talent than you do build it. Not have to, just as something that I have observed. And part of that is because the skill that it takes to become a super duper CFO of a $100 million company, you're not going to create an entire training program for someone to be able to do that. Oftentimes, you just want someone who has that experience to plug them in, rather than someone learning on your own dime, which really means them making mistakes in your business and you paying the cost of that. And so it kind of reminds me of this little saying, which is, great lawyers are expensive, cheap lawyers cost a fortune. And so it's one of those things where you may think that it tends to be a buy nice or buy twice situation, where you think you're trying to cut costs in the short term by underqualifying someone and underpaying someone, but I can just tell you with my experience that A players are worth so much more. And there's tons of research that supports that, like 1 A player is worth 5 B players. And so, and here's one of the crazy arbitrage things in business is that to get an A player, you pay 25% above market and you get 5 times the output. It's one of the still everyday biggest arbitrage value creation opportunities that every business owner has, is paying a bit above market to get way better talent. And so it's just one of the things that I'm sharing with you, because I hope that when you do this stuff, you have way more A players, so that when you invest in you, we have way less issues that we have to fix with your business, okay? And by and large, the process that I outlined was for more frontline employees that are gonna get the leads on your behalf rather than director level positions and up. And that's because, hopefully, I will solve your current problem and create the next problem which acquisition.com can help you solve. And so that concludes the lead getting section for employees to get you more leads.